What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. We're doing playoff best ball. Obviously, it's all that we can draft right now, clearly. So the playoffs are going to wrap up. Sorry, the regular season is going to wrap up. We'll know all of the playoff seedings, who's playing who, matchups more importantly. So we're trying to find a little bit of edge before we get all of the pertinent information when it comes to playoff best ball. So how do we find that edge? And realistically, it only exists for tonight, tomorrow morning, sort of a thing before the games kick off. Two very big games tomorrow, obviously. And then as the weekend wraps up, obviously we're going to know all of the who wins all the divisions, who's going to play who, and that's very, very, very important when we're constructing some of these teams. So let's take advantage of a little bit of an edge and see if we can line up and correctly predict who's going to play who. So let's pull it up. Let's pull up the seedings as we see it right now. So let's just go top to bottom, start in the AFC, then we'll work to the NFC. So AFC, Denver Broncos play the Chargers. They have to win, and then they are the number one seed. They're going to be playing everybody. They're going to try to win. The Chargers are not playing Justin Herbert, as we knew on the last episode that we just did on Tuesday, I think we did the episode. And as I correctly predicted, Omarion Hampton will not be playing either. I think guys like McConkey and Johnston and even Keenan Allen might be a little bit limited as well. There's just no point. Well, defensive players, offensive line, right? There's no point. If you're going to sit Justin Herbert, you're going to sit Hampton. They're basically conceding the loss as far as I can tell, as far as anyone can tell. That's what it seems. So I definitely think the Broncos get the win. They're going to be the number one seed. I'm kind of locking it in. I'm drafting as such. There we go. Down to 2. This is where it gets interesting. There's a lot to still get sorted out on here. So going down to the number 2 seed currently, the Patriots. They play the Miami Dolphins. Is that a gimme game? I don't think so. I'm not sure if it's in Miami or if it's in New England, in Foxborough, but regardless, that is not a gimme game. Miami's playing well. There's some distraction, the Stephon Diggs stuff with the Patriots right now, obviously. So is that a gimme game? No. Are they going to go in and get that win? Maybe. But it's not locked in. So let's take a look over here. Patriots do have a road to the number 1 seed. They have to win, and then the Broncos lose. I don't think the Broncos are losing. So I'm not even entertaining that they're in the number 1 seed. For the number 2 seed, right? They have to obviously get the win, and then they're the number 2 seed. That's it. Win your number 2 seed. If they lose, which I think is on the table, I'm not saying that they're going to. I think it's very on the table that they lose that game to Miami. And then if the Jags win, if the Jags win against Tennessee, which I think we can all agree is most likely going to happen, the Jags move up to the number 2 seed and the Patriots fall down to number 3. Definitely is relevant, definitely matters, and we'll continue to dig into it. So much like the NFC, which we'll get to in a second, the 2 and 3 seeds, the teams are locked in, but the positions can flip. So we'll get to the NFC when we get there. And I think it's fairly on the table that the Jags end up as the number 2 seed, Patriots end up as the number 3 seed. And again, it's very important to correctly predict these things especially if you're drafting number 1 seeds. We'll get there when we continue to talk to it. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. So moving down, the number 4 seed, obviously the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Ravens. Winner is the number 4 seed. We know that. And that's the desirable matchup. So the Texans are sitting as the number 5 right now. They technically still have a shot to win the division. So they're going to take care of business and get the job done against Riley Leonard and the Colts. So at worst, the Texans are the number 5 seed. At best, they're the number 3 seed, number 3 seed for the Texans. I expect them to stay at number 5. And I expect the Jags to be no worse than 3, potentially 2, right? Then we come down the list. We got Chargers at 6 right now. But again, like I just said, and I think we can all agree, we all expect probably the Chargers to lose that game. And then the Bills against the Jets, even if Mitch Trubisky, which I fully expect. So we'll continue to talk through this narrative of who's going to play and who's going to sit. Josh Allen is starting. Last year, he played one snap to continue the streak and then hit the bench. I think something like that will happen. Absolutely. They do want to win this game, especially if it seems like the Chargers are kind of throwing the game more or less, right? So if they get that win, they play as it stands right now, the Jags. If it flips, the Patriots come down to 3 and then they play the Patriots. I don't think it really matters. That's why I don't think Josh Allen is gonna play at all, right? So it doesn't. And the other half of that conversation is I think the Bills with Mitch Trubisky, Ray Davis can get the job done against the Jets, get the win regardless. So I'm actually having the Bills get the win, the Chargers get the loss, the Bills move up to the 6th seed, and the Chargers move down to the 7th seed. That's how I have it right now. So then, excuse me. So then it definitely matters the 2 and 3 seed between the Jags and the Patriots. Obviously, the Bills and the Patriots played twice this year. They play twice every year. They split. They know each other the best. There's not a lot of distance when the Bills are going on the road against the Jags. It's not far. It's still East Coast at least, right? But it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit of a different game. Who would the Bills rather play? I don't know. And I don't think they really care. I don't think they're thinking about that. I don't think it really matters. And it's out of their control anyways. So Chargers move to 7, Bills move up to 3. 6. And then they're both going to be playing the Patriots or the Chargers regardless. Or Patriots or Jags. Jesus. The Patriots or Jags regardless. It's just a matter of who's playing who. So that can be a bit of an edge, right? Especially if we're drafting, say, Broncos or whoever we think is going to be the number 1 seed. We'll get there in the NFC, right? Then it's not a bad idea when you're just trying to advance. And I'll show an example of a draft I did earlier today. If you're just trying to advance, playing those matchups, at least matchups that we think they're going to be, right? So we'll get to that. And again, in a second. So 2 and 3 are locked up. It's just a matter of if they flip flop. And then I do think the Chargers and the Bills, I do think that they flip flop kind of regardless. We got Dr. B. Harrison here. What's up, man? What's happening? Appreciate you popping in. I'm doing well. Let's go to the NFC side. So Seahawks, Niners win your number 1 seed. Whoever wins is the number 1 seed. Whoever loses isn't necessarily the number 5 seed, but it's a good consolation prize. So we'll leave it there. Who do I think wins that game? I actually think that the Seahawks are going to get that win. That's where I'm leaning right now. But it is very, very 50-50. So that's, again, another spot where if you can correctly, guess or just draft enough volume where you do both, who's going to be the winner there, that can give you a bit of an edge. Bears are number 2 right now, but they play a tough and pissed off Lions team, right? Division rival. They're not making the playoffs. That's a tough game. Eagles play the Washington Commanders, and much like the Bills, I think with Tanner McKee, Tank Bigsby, and the random ass wide receivers that they have, and including no Dallas Goedert, I still think that they can get that win against the Commanders. So I'm playing it again like the Eagles move up to 2 and the Bears move down to 3. We got Mr. Mufasa in here. What's up, man? Appreciate you popping in. So that's how I have it. Then we have the number 4 seed, which is, again, obviously the Panthers or the Buccaneers. If the Atlanta Falcons win, it doesn't matter for the Bucs, right? So I'm not drafting realistically either of those teams. If you are, go nuts. Obviously the leg up is for the Panthers. They have kind of 2 routes to get in to be the number 4 seed, which, again, much like the AFC side, it's a very desirable position for the number 5 seed, which probably going to be the 49ers, I feel like. So the Niners lose to the Seahawks, but their consolation prize is the 5th seed. They can still drop down to the 6th seed if the Rams beat the Cardinals. if the Niners beat the Seahawks, there is no point in the world for the Rams to play anybody. In my take on the Rams, personally, I know Sean McVay came out and said, we're going to play all our starters. We're going to play our guys regardless of seeding, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe you. I don't believe Sean McVay. I don't. Honestly, I mean, moving up to the 5 seed would be nice. So if the Seahawks get that win, I could see them trying to, playing their starters, getting that win against the Cardinals. If the Niners beat the Seahawks, I do not believe you, Sean McVay. He is not going to play anybody. There is no point. You cannot move up. It doesn't make any sense to play anybody. If it's a series and they want to get the guys going, they want to get some success, okay, sure. But there is not a chance in this or any other world where the Rams play all of their starters the entire game against the Cardinals if they have no opportunity to move up to the 5 seed. I do not believe you, Sean McVay, but we'll see how it goes. So as far as how I have it predicted, I think the Seahawks get that win, and they will have an opportunity to. So we'll see. Packers are locked in at 7. That's actually pretty nice. So as the way I have it is the Packers versus the Eagles in Philadelphia, Rams versus Bears, Niners versus, let's say, Panthers, right? So again, there's a lot of movement that can still take place. And then, so being able to correctly predict who's playing who and what the matchups are going to be and what the potential AFC championship game and potential NFC championship game can be could be a lucrative play. That's our edge right now until tomorrow, essentially. Let's take a look at some chat. Mike Rob, what's up, man? Appreciate you coming in. What's your take on Bucks and Panthers players straight up? Haven't seen anyone draft them these past few weeks, yet see Ravens and Steelers drafted. I mean, I think people think it's more of a coin flip. The Ravens are definitely moving up the board. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Ravens are definitely being drafted at a much, much, much higher clip because it's straightforward. And Lamar Jackson seems healthy, allegedly. It's much more straightforward. Winning, you're in. As far as the Bucks Panthers, I just think people don't want. If the Bucks had a better route to getting in, I was drafting a decent amount of Bucks when I thought they were going to win the division. If they had won last week, then they win and they're in, and I would have been drafting more of them, right? But I don't think anyone wants to take a chance on the Panthers. I know there are some people doing it, but I'm not, and I wouldn't recommend it. And then I think at a much, much less clip, people are drafting Steelers. Again, I've drafted a few Steelers teams as well. So my take would be I'm not drafting any Panthers. I'm not drafting any Bucks right now either. I'm mixing in a little bit of Ravens because I think the Ravens get that win. Mostly just as advanced pieces, or if I get boxed out or I have to rescue a team or something like that, I'll go Ravens. But that's kind of my take there. Seahawks are in a win-win situation. If they lose, they're playing Panthers 100%. They have the best kind of situation. They have the best situation, win and your number 1 seed, but obviously they want that number 1 seed. It's just a consolation prize that if they don't, then they play the Panthers. Although it is on the road, they did just beat the Panthers, but it's an extreme west to extreme east. It's a long ass flight, and the time difference is pretty massive. So the Seahawks absolutely do not want to lose this game. And I was talking about it with a buddy earlier today. Like in that Rams game a few weeks ago, Seahawks Rams, right? There were many opportunities for us to say, same old Sam Darnold, just going to piss down his leg, in the big game, when it matters, he's just going to poop his pants and they're going to lose. And he didn't. And it happened a few times this year. So it's a different team, obviously, different coaching staff, different defense. This is a good team, the Seahawks team. And Sam Darnold has kind of quieted some of the haters a little bit, at least. So I think that he gets the job done. But it is a win-win, number 1 seed. You get the bye week. Obviously, that's massive. Lose, yeah, you get the number 5 seed. Not a big deal. Doc's in here. What's up, man? Go Seahawks and Ravens. There you go. Sean Mitchell, what's up, man? 1 QB, 2 QB builds. It depends on basically I'm 1 QB almost 100% of the time, unless it's the number 1 seed. If I'm drafting Broncos or Seahawks, potentially Niners, I'm taking a second quarterback for sure. Other than that, no, one quarterback for me. You have to buy in that team is going to the Super Bowl in that build. So it's easier when you're doing volume that you can just take shots like that. But I'm one quarterback unless it's number one seed. End of story. And I don't really entertain drafting two quarterbacks. I might in high, like the bigger mitten, maybe the big mitten. But in gauntlets and in little mittens and stuff like that, not a chance I'm drafting two quarterbacks unless they're number one seed. This is a much better team, a real defense. I agree. I think the Seahawks are a better team. This Seahawks team is a better team than the Vikings team last year. I agree with that. Green Bean, what's up, man? Hey, OTS. Hope you've done well this season. I did not. I was pretty choked. I got a lot of things right this year, I feel like, and I had my worst year of my best ball career, so that's fun. Devontae Adams was missing. Yeah, but they got it done. There's a lot of weapons on that Rams team, and the Seahawks still got it done. Regardless, again, it's just that was the narrative for Sam Darnold. He's going to piss down his leg. He's not going to win. You know, it's same old Sam Darnold, and he didn't. He got the job done, and he brought them back. They were down big in that game. That's the big thing about the Seahawks. They can't start slow. They got to get out to a fast start. They have to. If they can put that defense in a better position, they're going to have a really good shot to win this game against the Niners, in my opinion. Sean Mitchell, fully agree. Take the one QB approach that they make the bowl. Yeah, I think that's really the only way to do it, unless, again, it's like a bigger min, or you're doing the number one seeds, stuff like that. Need your thoughts on this whole Allen Cook thing. How are people getting so lucky? I got it once. But Jamie Robbins was in here last episode on Tuesday, I believe it was. His prediction was it's going to get more common, and it might. It has gotten a little bit more common. So I guess he's correct on that. I think he correctly predicted that. I think there's an out to it. It's just a matter of people are drafting properly or not. There's a lot of spiteful drafters, especially in playoff best ball drafting. A lot of spiteful drafters where they just will not allow it, even though it's to the detriment of their build, right? Remember my 3 rules of playoff best ball: roster construction, roster construction, roster construction. So for me, if a guy gets Cook, Allen, so be it. I'm not going to stop him. If it affects the way I'm building, I'm not going to stop him. Cook has fallen behind Saquon, so yeah, it's become a bit more common. Cook has fell a couple spots with Allen staying firm at ADP, and that's what I said. That's what I said would be the only way it would be kind of possible for it to start being more frequent if Cook fell, and it looks like he kind of has. And we'll see. It might get more common after this weekend as well. So I don't know. Chesley, someone got them at the 2 and 11 spots. Wow. That's pretty wild. I think 4 or 5, obviously, if they're both there at pick 6, which is highly unlikely, but I think 4 or 5 are really the only spots. I think I got them at, 4 or 5. I can't remember. And it was only one time, and it was in a mitten. I have 0 combos of that in gauntlet, and I drafted like 50 gauntlets so far. So yeah, that's what we're getting at. Let's take a look now. Let's go over to Underdog. I wanted to show, and I should be careful because someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, you wanted to win the contest, but the examples you showed were so terrible, and I'm so much smarter than you." So sorry if I don't show good enough examples here, guys. I'm just trying to show examples. I'm just trying to. I was picking random teams, so I'm going to show you a specific one here. Here we go. So this is one I drafted earlier today, right? I very much think it's kind of locked in that the Broncos get the number 1 seed, right? So I draft Bo Nix. Actually, let's just pull up the draft board. Let's do that. That's a lot more fun. So drafting in the 5 spot, and this is something that I like to do a lot, where I get Barkley. Kyron Williams falls back to me. Obviously, there we go. So I have 2 highly desirable NFC pieces that both will play in the wild card round, right? So my running backs are covered. My running back and my flex are covered. Awesome. Harvey, obviously you have to take him there, bring it back with Sutton. number 1 seeds. They will not play in the wild card round, right? Then I bring back Dallas Goedert, who is a fairly desirable, another desirable piece in the wild card round, right? Barkley and Goddard can definitely both get me there. Bo Nix, especially because this is 2 of 6 advance. So it's another reason to do it. Then I bring in Bo Nix, obviously, for my quarterback, Troy Franklin. And then I think who is going to play realistically, who's going to play the Eagles? Because I have 2 Eagles. I've got Goddard and Barkley. Who do I think in the wild card round is going to play the Eagles? Because I need the most amount of points possible in the wild card round to get this team through. So what we just went over there, I think that the Green Bay Packers are going to play the Eagles. So I bring in Jaden Reed, I bring in Jordan Love, and then I finish it off with a 5th Denver Bronco who also won't play in the wild card round. So I've got Love, Reed, Goddard, Kyron, and Barkley to get me through the wild card round. Again, my first 2 picks are both going to be playing in the wild card round. Highly desirable, pieces, advance rate pieces, plus their bringbacks in Super Bowls, right? So obviously the premium for the Super Bowl would be Denver, Philly, Denver, Green Bay, but then the Rams are there as well. It'd be nice. It'd be fine if the Rams make it as well. But those are the pieces that are going to get me through. So when the Broncos take over in the second round, I'm kind of golden, right? And I want 2 of my pieces to be gone, Jaden Reed and Jordan Love. I kind of want them to lose to the Eagles, who move on with my 2 other pieces. So there's an example of a way to kind of, again, take advantage of you guessing correctly, right? So if I'm right and the Eagles win and the Bears lose and the Eagles become the 2 seed and they play the Packers, this is going to be a nice lineup in the wild card round to hopefully get me to advance. And then my Broncos can come in and kind of take over. And if this is a Broncos Super Bowl versus basically anybody, because I have 5 pieces on the Broncos side, but obviously, like we went over, Eagles, Rams are all fine. So that's an example of a way you can build when you're trying to get it right and get a little bit lucky and be right. So there we go. Hopefully that's a good enough example for the keyboard guys on Twitter. Hopefully that's a good enough example for you. If not, I'm sure we'll hear about it in the comments. So you got to like that. Let's jump into a draft. By the way, the Big Mitten is only a single entry. I did not know that on the Tuesday episode that we did. It's only a single entry. So I'm definitely going to get this in, but I'm obviously going to wait until this weekend's over for sure. I want to know everything before I throw in a single entry personally. And then the bigger mitten is, just a huge buy-in. So I may get in a couple of those because 100K up top is pretty nice. And the advance rates are decent after the first round, only an 18-seat final. That'd be a nice sweat, but that's not what we're doing today. Same thing with the Summit, 3 entries. I'm going to do that after this weekend. I'm going to get my 3 entries there. We're not doing a gauntlet today. We're going to do a mitten 2. So jump in if you want to draft with me. Already filled. Wow. So if you're in the overflow, my apologies. My apologies. At least I think it's filled. There we go. Schneid. Who the heck is this? He's got goat horns over here. That's kind of cool. Interesting. I think I've seen that name before. That's kind of funny. Schneid and Off the Schneid in the same draft room. But I don't think I recognize anybody else in here. That's fine. We'll see what we do. We're in the 5 spot, so I have an imposter. I thought a good imposter name, if someone wanted to, imposter me, Underzet style, Checkers Liam style, would be on the Schneid, is what I would do if someone was trying to. Not that I want anyone to do that, or you should, but that's what I thought would make sense if someone was trying to do that sort of thing. But yeah, in the 5 spot, I mean, if Josh Allen's there, I'll take him. There's probably a bunch of people watching that are in the overflow. So my apologies on that one, guys. It's snap filled. It was already filled when I jumped in. Okay, Josh Allen goes 2. Whoops. So obviously I'm not drafting Josh Allen, and if he's lucky enough to get James Cook at the 11 spot, then I don't know what to tell you. Barkley goes, so let's go Jackson Smith and Jigba. And again, like we just talked about, I'm going to play it like the Seattle Seahawks do get the number 1 seed. So we'll just have to keep that in mind on what we're going to do and how we're going to go about this, how we're going to attack this. I'm going to do Kyron. I don't want to get locked out on I don't want to get locked out on a wild card round running back. So let's go Kyron. So obviously I want to focus on getting an AFC side now. I have 2 NFC pieces, quality NFC pieces, but one will not be playing in the wild card round as far as the way I'm going to be drafting this. So we'll see what we end up getting. It's going to be interesting because it would be pretty desirable to go Broncos, but then I'm going to be limited on how many Broncos Seahawks I can draft. So yeah, obviously I have to have 5 play. Have to have 5 play in the wildcard round. This is getting very common. The Patriots and Patriots with the Niners. I like this Cook Etienne. I like that. Well, I don't know if I love the Collins pick. I probably would have went a different route. I probably would have went Devontae Smith. I probably would have Devontae Smith there. Hurts is still on the board, but this guy's going to take him, which he should. He definitely should with this guy at the 6 spot here. And he's going to take it down. Take Smith. Wow. So he's really daring this guy to take Hurts. I wouldn't do it. I guess that is the way to go. And that's what I said on last episode is like, dare this guy to just try to snipe you and screw you over while ruining his lineup, because that does not make sense for this guy. I mean, I guess he could take Goddard and bring back a bunch of Jags, but it's not anywhere near optimal. So I don't think he should do that. He goes Myers. Maybe, I don't know what you're going to do on the NFC side here. Myers Diggs. I don't know what this guy's going to do on the NFC side. Packers, I guess. Packers, Bears. Similar to what we did in last week's episode as well. We're going to go Courtland Sutton, obviously. So we're going to build this kind of like the example I showed you. I kind of have to, being where I'm at in the draft, unless I want to go Chargers or Ravens, which I don't. So, yeah. Obviously, if Nico Collins fell back to me there, that would be a smash pick with Nico, but he's not there. So now I have to be careful because I have 3 players already that I'm not planning on having for the wildcard round. Jags Bills first round is so fascinating to me. Yeah, that's going to be the one that you're really going to want to focus on, obviously, as far as advance rate pieces. If you're drafting something else completely, obviously, if you're drafting Bills or Jags, you know the score there. But to get some just pieces, some advance rate pieces, that's going to push James Cook, I think, up a little bit back to where he was, if that is the matchup. I think it would be, that's a more lucrative matchup for James Cook than the Patriots would be, even though he's done well against the Patriots this year. Still, I think it's more lucrative to be playing against the Jags than against the Patriots. But we'll see. It's a good game. That'll be a fun game regardless, though. A lot of these games are going to be fun. It's such a wild year this year. It's a fun year this year. Very fun. Okay, so right now I only have Kyron Williams essentially playing. So I need some more pieces and probably some NFC pieces. And I really can't take any more Seahawks, realistically. Let's see if this guy takes Goddard. If he doesn't take Goddard, I'm going to take Goddard. If he does take Goddard, I'm not really comfortable with what this guy's doing in the 6th spot. Obviously, he's got to take Lawrence. I just really hope this guy doesn't take Goddard. That would be helpful, but he should and probably will. Takes Lawrence. Wow. Wow. I'm really uncomfortable with what this guy's doing here in the 6th spot. I need Bo Nix. I really want Goddard here, but I'm really uncomfortable with what this guy's doing here. I don't know what he's doing. He could just, you never know. So let's take Bo Nix here. He's too important to our build. Goddard is pretty important to our build, I feel like, too, but now this guy's got to take Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, you have to. Okay, so we get Goddard. That's fun. So Goddard's going to play. Kyron's going to play. We need to start building this out. We're going to take one more Denver Bronco and then no more Seahawks. We've got Kyron to bring back against Denver. We've got Dallas Goedert to bring back against Denver. And then we'll see what else we can get here. This guy's in a tough spot. You really put yourself in a corner. Like when you do this, when you do Cook and Etienne, you gotta you kind of have to go like Jacobs, you know. Yeah, Jacobs, Swift, basically, is kind of what you have to do. Like, yeah, this guy's in a tough spot now. Kind of put himself in a corner with the Myers and Diggs picks. That's just not. It's not the way I would do it. It's not exactly optimal. We'll see. He's got a pretty good opportunity to advance this team. I'll say that. We'll see if he takes a second quarterback. I don't recommend. I don't like this Rodney Chuck here. I wouldn't go down that road. I mean, I guess Diggs goes, but where's Hunter Henry? Yeah. Hunter Henry's still on the board. That's the way I would have went, but what are you going to do? I'm going to take I'm just going to take Troy Franklin here because there's really no one else for me to pick. I do want to go NFC side for my advanced pieces. I do want to go NFC side for my advanced pieces. Though it's not like mandatory. There we go. The queue's taking a little bit longer than it should to actually draft. It's not exactly mandatory. I probably would have taken McConkey there. Let's go with QJ. Yeah. No, let's go Woody. If we're going to do that, let's do Woody. If we're just gonna get an advanced piece, let's get a running back instead. I'd rather a running back than like a quality running back than a decent wide receiver. If I'm just getting an advanced piece, so let's bring in Woody. And if we're taking AFC anyways, then let's do that. And you never know, QJ might still be there. Yeah, and then we want to go. NFC. So 2 more selections. We need 2 players that are going to play. We need 1 wide receiver and a quarterback that are going to play in the wild card round. So our Super Bowl is obviously Denver and Seattle, but Rams are fine as well. Eagles are fine as well. I'm done at running back for sure. Have to be. That's not even an option. QJ goes. So I don't really care if it's NFC anymore, though I could go like Jaden Reed and Jordan Love again, which I don't hate. Dobbs, Jordan Love, something like that. Let's do, it's either Herbert or Love. Seven seed playing. That's a tough matchup on the road. Let's go Green Bay. Let's go Jordan Love. I don't love the Chargers on the road against the Patriots, which is, again, the way I'm kind of planning for it in drafting. So let's go Jordan Love. I'm done at quarterback now. And then it's probably Jaden Reed, but we can bring in Dobbs. Dubs. Wrist issue not concerning. A little more touchdown upside for Dobbs, but let's go Reed. So my wildcard players, Jordan Love, Kyron Williams, Woody Marks, Dallas Goedert, and Jaden Reed. Kind of buying it. Like, I kind of got boxed into that. And that's kind of the thing that happens with a lot of these, pretty much any and every playoff, draft and draft room, is that you kind of get boxed into doing a certain thing and doing a certain build. So maybe I should have went Romeo Dobbs there just to get a little different from some of my other builds. But I took Woody Marks as an advanced piece, which I don't typically do. I typically try to stick with the NFC side if I'm building an AFC Super Bowl contender, right? But it is what it is. I want to advance this team, so that's more important, really. And you kind of, like I said, you kind of just get boxed into some things. Like this guy, realistically, kind of with these 2 picks, you kind of box yourself in to, like, I would have went Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and then hope that, ETN or Harvey make it back to me, maybe Henderson, but not even, more like May. And then you could take Stevenson if you need to, right? Or if you're going to do this, then buy into the NFC, teams that nobody's really drafting. And then he ends up taking 3 quarterbacks. So it's just, there's really nothing going on here that makes any sense. Like, does this guy even have a full Super Bowl matchup? I guess San Francisco, Jacksonville is his only Super Bowl matchup, which, like, if they were number 1 seeds there, then yeah, it's fine. But it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So again, like, you boxed yourself into doing a certain thing. And then if you don't do that thing, you're kind of just wasting money, like, a little bit, like if yeah, it is what it is. I don't like it. It's not what I would do ever. Again, my 3 rules: roster construction, right? That's all that matters. That's it. That's all that matters. So this one makes 0 sense. This guy definitely made some sense there. I would not have taken Trevor Lawrence. That's for sure. I would have taken probably Goddard or anyone other than Trevor Lawrence. Like, if you're picking Jalen Hurts, he was a top 3 pick in last year's playoff best ball. Now you're getting him in round 4 and you're taking him second. Why? You got 4-piece, Eagles. You obviously are buying in that the Eagles make the Super Bowl. So that's it. Buy into it. It's done. Don't draft Trevor Lawrence. Kenny Walker doesn't necessarily make sense at all, realistically. Actually, it doesn't make sense whatsoever for this lineup, right? Because he's not even an advanced piece, and then he's in an NFC side in the number 1 seed. I guess they could play each other in the NFC Championship, the Eagles and the Seahawks. So I guess it's okay, I suppose. But it's not exactly the way I would have, Derrick Henry makes more sense in my opinion, but he's a better advanced piece. He's playing in the wild card round. and an AFC side, that's the way I would have gone about it. Don't mind this pick. Don't mind that. DJ Moore, again, doesn't make a ton of sense to me personally. But yeah, a couple mistakes, it seems, in this one, in my opinion. This is a great start right here. That's really nice. That's really, really nice. I like that a lot. I'm jealous. That's a really nice start. I don't know if I have that. Puka at 3, and then gets Devontae Stafford, brings in Corum, gets the two best anyways. Buffalo pieces for the wide receiver tight end position, obviously not including Cook. Hampton, Johnston, nice. Ramondre at 51 is nice, and then brings in Keyshawn Butte. I like that. This is the best team in this draft, including mine. Bunch of Buffalo pieces, so he got there. San Francisco, Green Bay, cool. Yeah, some advanced pieces, sure. This is gonna be a tough team to beat, especially if the Niners don't get the number 1 seed. This will be a tough team to advance against. But again, I'm trying to draft like a super team. I'm trying to draft a team that's going to win the entire contest if I'm right. But advancing is going to be tough. But if I can get it through, I'll be in decent shape. Let's jump into another one. The Mitten 2. We are in. Waiting on 3, couple spots. Dead roster, pretty close. Like it's as close to basically being dead, that one we're talking about, as you can kind of get, in my opinion. I just can't really get behind. I can't recommend much of anything of what that guy did. I just think like we box ourselves into certain types of builds and certain things when we do certain things. When your first 2 picks are 2 NFC running backs, 2 AFC running backs, whatever it is, you boxed yourself in to a certain build. That's the way I feel like. That's the way I feel about it. I just got my first Alan Cook, I guess, has spoken into existence. There you go, man. Congrats. Nice work. Nice work. Yeah, just speak it into existence. Hopefully I get it this one. I might take Josh Allen here at the 3 spot. We'll see if he's there. We got Doc 79 at the 2 spot here. Hopefully we do different things. He goes NFC, I go AFC. We'll see. Another Goat Horns here. We'll see. That last draft room was pretty soft, if I'm being honest. If you guys didn't exactly know what they were doing a little bit, maybe just doing some different things, who knows? But yeah. We'll see how this one goes. So I always want to be 1 or 2, really. Like draft position 1 or 2, easy peasy. Puka, McCaffrey, boom. Then Josh Allen gets a little interesting. I think you still take him at 3, even though you're pretty unlikely to get Cook. It's still the correct pick, in my opinion. Candyman, what's up, man? I know you're going live tonight in 45 minutes or so, going live for some PGA golf content. I love it. I love it. I will not be drafting any of those, but I recommend anyone that is, go jump into the Fantasy Garage and hang out with Candyman and get some knowledge on the golf stuffs. I love golf. I played DFS golf. I haven't actually in a long time, but I should get back in those golf streets. So let's go Josh Allen. And just, you never know. You never know. Like realistically, being at 3 or 2, like we said about Chess Liam earlier, like you should never get James Cook back to you. At 4 or 5, yeah, sure, it's on the table. But at 3, Cook should never get back to you. 2, absolutely not. And there goes Cook at the 6 spot anyways, so don't need to worry too much about that. And now we're just going to build a classic, Bills versus some NFC teams kind of build where it's probably duped, I'm sure, but pod luck, you never know, right? Like that's the thing about Josh Allen right, this year is like there's going to be, if the Bills do go to the Super Bowl, there's going to be so many dupe lineups. And then the Allen Cook teams that are in there are going to have such a massive edge over any other Bills team in the final. Going James Cook, Drake May, I can't particularly get behind personally, but we'll see how the plane lands on that one. I would have went Kyron for sure, because now I'm basically locked out at running back, which happens most of the time when you draft Josh Allen. So it's either Devontae or AJ Brown. Devontae's back at practice, but I do not expect him to play in this game whatsoever. And then hopefully he's back for the first round, the wild card round of the playoff. If he's not, this is gonna. There's a lot of teams that are going to be in tough. So let's do Devontae. Let's do Devontae. So I do have the Rams versus the Bears in my prediction. So that's going to be, I'm almost certainly going to draft a Bear, right? It makes sense for my running back situation anyways. But again, if the Rams and Bears are playing in the wild card round, I want it to be a shootout. I want some points. I want to take advantage of both of those teams. So that's what I'm going to do. There's going to be a Bear on this team, 100%. I like that. I like that. Doc goes CMC Kittle. So he's going to have to look for an AFC team, obviously, somewhere down the road. Or just bring back. So Henderson could work for him. Harvey, Diggs, Sutton he brings in. It's a good pick. Pretty straightforward. Let's go AJ Brown. Personally, I'm almost never taking Shakir there. I will obviously take him at 22, obviously, but I'm never pulling him up. I'm never pulling up Shakir. Never. Never, never, never. Why? Again, there's so many teams drafted that if the Bills go to the Super Bowl and this team ends up in the final, I'm going to be dead anyways with the James Cook, the no James Cook. So regardless, I'm not dead, but I'm probably not going to win. There's going to be a duplicate lineup. And the only edge I will have is some won't have Shakir. Some won't, some will. So I need to be able to get, if it's, again, against the Eagles, I need to have AJ Brown as leverage against the other Josh Allen and Bills teams. And then I need to have a falling, couple picks, Shakir, to again have a little bit of an edge against those Josh Allen Buffalo Bills teams. And I do get Shakir. That's nice. Harvey's falling. That's handy for, Doc. I would imagine he's going to go down that road. Could take Juwan Jennings, but I doubt this guy will take him. But we'll see what Doc ends up doing. Does go Harvey. I'm not taking another quarterback, so we can just get rid of that. That's done and dead. Not going to happen. Corum's been missing practice. He limited. So DNP limited, it seems like, is what I recall for Blake Corum this week. So I personally, that's the other thing, is a bunch of guys are banged up for the Rams. So I don't know. I have a hard time believing that they're going to play. He goes to the one drafter anyways, which makes tons of sense. Brings in Swift. I don't know if that one makes a crazy amount of sense, but that's okay. I was going to basically get into the conversation of Blake Corum in this build or Josh Jacobs. I had the decision taken away from me, which is fine, but Josh Jacobs is the more desirable advance piece in the wildcard round, and I need a running back that's going to get me something points-wise. So Jacobs makes... I was probably going to take Jacobs over Corum regardless, but it's an easy decision there. It just makes tons of sense. And again, I don't want to pull up Dalton Kincaid because of exact same reasons. Just rewind 2 seconds, the conversation I had with Shakir. I need leverage. If I'm not getting Josh Allen and James Cook, I need to have leverage somewhere. And that's the only way to do it, is to push these other pieces, right? In my opinion, If you disagree, you disagree, but that's my opinion on it. The only way to have some leverage in the final is to push the other Buffalo pieces and get yourself some leverage with an AJ Brown, with a Josh Jacobs, that sort of a thing. But again, just my opinion. Just my opinion on that. This guy's doesn't necessarily know what he's doing. So he takes Kenny Walker. Purdy that makes no sense in this. And that screwed over Doc, didn't it? Yeah. Ouch. Ouch. You can recover with Knicks. Obviously, we're taking Kincaid here. So Doc can recover with Knicks. See, again, that's where this makes no sense. This makes no sense to take Brock Purdy, which we'll get into in a second here. We'll get into in a second. We're taking Kincaid. So now, again, I have the other high-value Buffalo pieces that I got a little past ADP, 2 picks each, right? And then I got the falling A.J. Brown, which will give me some leverage, a little bit of falling Devontae Adams, which will hopefully give me some leverage, and Josh Jacobs at ADP, again, leverage. So this is actually a quality Josh Allen build when you don't have James Cook. This is kind of as best as it can get without James Cook, right? In my opinion. That's how I feel about it. Doc brings in Henry and Knicks. We're going to do Charbonnet. I need some more running back help, and the NFC side is nice. So let's bring in Charbonnet. If he gets number 1 seed, that's fine. That's kind of good. That's what I'm looking for a little bit. Let's bring in Charbonnet. Oh, yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about. So again, it makes no sense to take Purdy here because if the Niners make it to the Super Bowl, you don't even close to have anywhere, shape, or form a premium or dominant 49ers team or stack, right? Purdy with Pearsall and maybe he brings in what, Bourne? Yeah, you might have a little bit of leverage on those teams with Bourne, but is Kendrick Bourne going to go off in the Super Bowl and be the guy you need to win, $50,000? I personally don't think so. So, I mean, if you're going to do it, then get Tonjes, get Bourne, get those other pieces and then just hope that you have all the leverage in the final. But it doesn't make sense. It's not optimal. It's not the way to go about it. It's really not, in my opinion. We're going to bring in Kyle Monangai. Yeah, we're going to bring in Kyle Monangai. 2 more picks. And spoiler alert, they're both going to be Buffalo Bills. No question. I don't care what happens. They're both going to be Buffalo Bills. Right? So I'll have my 5-piece Buffalo Bills, Packers, Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, Rams, all as bringbacks. I've got as much kind of leverage as I can, I think, on the rest of the Josh Allen teams that don't have James Cook. We're doing Ty Johnson here, obviously. So like I said, 5-piece Buffalo Bills and a bunch of onesies. So I'm going for Bills in the AFC Championship versus the 2 of these teams need to play in the NFC Championship. And then obviously one gets in the Super Bowl with the Bills in the Super Bowl. So I'll have 6 players in the Super Bowl if the Bills get there, most likely. and high value pieces too. Devontae, AJ Brown. I mean, Jacobs is more of an advanced piece. Realistically, I'm playing it like Charbonnet Ty Johnson and Charbonnet potentially will be in there. If it's Rams and Eagles, then I'm getting leverage in my wide receiver room, and then it's Ty Johnson. So hopefully I can have at least one player of leverage over the rest of the Josh Allen teams that don't have James Cook. That's the kind of goal. And that's kind of all you can do, I feel like, with this, situation. And again, it's just that's the hand I was dealt. There's really nothing I can do. I guess I could take more. I could go with like 2 Packers, 2 Seahawks, 2 Bears. I could do something like that. But like the if I don't get Corum with Adams, and I'm not taking Tank Bigsby at all. So realistically, there's really nothing else I could do. But again, I could take 2 Seahawks, I could take 2 Bears, I could take 2 Packers. I just don't necessarily think it's necessary. I'd rather bring in more Buffalo Bills. And to get, again, hopefully a little bit more leverage. Let's get Brandon Cooks, who had 100 yards in the last game, unless this guy takes him for God knows why. But this is not a very smart build, in my opinion. Though Cooks is probably like, I don't know, 70, 80% drafted in this tournament. In the gauntlet, he might provide a little more leverage, but let's go Brandon Cooks. So let's see what some guys did here. So Doc 79 was going, obviously, San Francisco and then Denver, and he gets sniped on Purdy for no reason. Like, I genuinely feel like once you get to this point in the 5th round, if a guy has 3 49ers, there is no point. Like, I genuinely feel like you should be able to push Purdy to the last round. Literally. There's just no point in drafting him unless you see him as an advanced piece, but he might be the number 1 seed. So right this second, it makes 0 sense, in my humble opinion, to ever draft Brock Purdy right here or anywhere, right? Once they have Kittle, McCaffrey, Jennings, you should be able to push Purdy to the very last round, and no one should take him. It doesn't make any sense. If we find that they don't get the number 1 seed and you want to draft him as an advanced piece quarterback, okay, cool. Completely fine with that. But right this second, he could be the number 1 seed. He could not be playing in the wild card round. And it just makes no sense in the world to draft Purdy. Personal opinion on that. So that sucks for Doc. Then he recovers it with the Ravens and goes the Broncos side, which is the correct way to draft. Great job. Good job, Doc. You did the best you can, right? After getting sniped on Purdy. It just doesn't make sense to take him there. And yeah, like I was saying with the Jacobs pick, like it basically becomes like if you go this route, which I did, right? Those are my first 4 picks, your internal conversation becomes Corum or Jacobs. And who's more valuable in the wild card round? Or who can I get later in the draft that I can use in the wild card round? So you could go with like Woody Marks or Henry, sure. But again, then you're same AFC. It's not the end of the world. It's just an advanced piece anyways. I just did it in the last draft with my Denver Broncos situation, right? So you can definitely do it. It's just like I would take a little bit of both, which I do and have been doing. So Jacobs provides a little bit more, upside in the wild card round, but I think long-term throughout the playoffs, it's Corum, right? So there you go. You kind of have to have, once those are your first 4 picks with the Josh Allen build, that's the next conversation is, do I go Jacobs or Corum? And if the decision gets made for you, cool. That's kind of just makes it easier. Kincaid fell. That's nice. Charbonnet. I like my team personally. Let's see what the number 1 guy did. I liked this start. I would not be going Swift here, I guess, again, advanced piece or, but you're getting Woody. I guess it's fine. But you're going Woody Marks. So you can just say that's my advanced piece. And then I have Corum. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just, again, did the same thing with Woody Marks with my Denver side. So it's fine. But then Caleb, I don't bring in Caleb here ever. Ever. That makes no sense to bring in Caleb when you have Matt Stafford, when you have Corum, when you have Nakua, right? You know you're bringing in a tight end, Colby Parkinson, right? Yeah. Franklin, I like it. Schultz, I like it. This pick makes no sense at all. You cannot be drafting, in my opinion, Caleb Williams there. Swift is fine. That's defensible for sure. But Caleb just makes zero sense, in my opinion. Let's see what Cordero did. Yeah, that's tough. Badgeless, you know. Tune into the show. Hopefully can learn a thing or two. Not that I know everything for sure. This is a quality build. I like this. Brings in the New England side. Chicago, I'm not too keen on that one. 4-piece Philly, 2 Jags, brings in 2 Patriots. That's fine. 3-piece Jags. Brings in Strange. I'm fine with that. DJ Moore is I don't like that. If that's your advanced piece or whatever, you already have that kind of covered. I would have probably, yeah, just some AFC or right there. Or no, he's gone. Strange is fine. Yeah. I guess it is what it is. Who's still on the board? QJ. There you go. I'd go QJ over DJ Moore for sure. Strange and then QJ, whatever. That's the only small thing I would have done there personally. Cook and May, Henderson, Diggs, Stevenson. Full buy-in on the Patriots. Okay. Brings in a couple Packers. Chicago. You should have probably went Monungai here somewhere, but that's okay. Obviously, Watson was a good click there, but instead of Butte, you could have pushed Butte, I'm sure. Got sniped on Henry, so that's tough for this guy. But it's kind of the risk you take when you take May at the end of the first. Like, there's a lot of teams, and there's a lot of NFC, right? There's a lot of competitors for that AFC piece. So to ask, Hunter Henry to come back to you is asking a lot, in my opinion. But it's an okay build as far as roster construction is concerned. This is probably relatively low owned, so that'd be some leverage, I think, would be Stevenson and Henderson, going both running backs there. But you just don't have any. I guess you got Diggs, but then no Henry. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's just that's kind of the risk you take when you do May at the end of the draft is there's a lot of competition for those AFC pieces on the entire left side of the draft of you. So let's do one more. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to get out of here. Let's do a Mitten 2 again. Last one, and then we're going to get out of here, guys, for the night. Jump in, waiting on one. And then we'll be back on Monday night. There's no Monday Night Football. So we'll have all the information, and then we're going to draft on Monday night. I don't know any of these names. I've drafted against PSU Charger for sure. I think he's a quality drafter from what I recall, but I don't know the rest of these guys. Red badges, we'll see. In the 6th spot, so that's interesting. Highly doubt Josh Allen and Cook will be there here, but, a guy can hope. Dare to dream. Speak it into existence. So we'll see what happens. It's most likely... We will see. Last episode on Tuesday, we did something a little funky. And again, we might get backdoored into having to do that again. We'll see. Sometimes you don't get a choice. You really don't have a choice. Sometimes, in my opinion, you don't have a choice. You have to do the thing you have to do. JSN. Let's go Barkley, Devontae for no good reason. That'd be cool. Barkley, Devontae, Barkley, Kyron. And Cook Allen's just sitting there for me. Never going to happen. That would never happen. Oh, Barkley, Devontae. We're going to give him the old Allen Cook. Let's go Kyron, Devontae. It just makes the most sense. The only other thing I could do is go James Cook and Etienne, James Cook and Henderson, something like that. I could go Drake May and Henderson, but we just talked about that, the risky run there. But we're not going to stop this guy from getting a Cook Allen. We're not. It's just not the correct thing to do. Unless, again, I wanted to go James Cook, Travis Etienne, which we did on the last episode. So let's do something a little bit different. You're welcome, Jack Metler. Don't fuck it up. Actually, I hope he does. I actually hope he does fuck it up. Because I don't want him in the finals with the super team. If it's Bills, right? May Henderson's still there, so that's pretty much how this guy goes, unless you go Stafford, Nico. Anything else doesn't make any sense, so goes May, Henderson. Yep. Nico, most likely. Purdy. Wow. Okay. That's fine. Make sure you get your stack. I probably go Nico here and then build out Seattle is the way I would go about it personally. If it were me, brings in Myers. Okay. So we got some interesting drafting going on. There goes Nico. Yep. I'd do Devontae here. Devontae Smith is the only pick realistically that makes sense. Oh, wow. I can do Stafford here. I was going to go Harvey. He does do that. I'm going to do that anyways. Let's go Harvey and Stafford. Stafford for sure. Do I want to do Harvey or do I want to do Diggs? Or do I want to do Shakir? Let's do... Or do I want to do Sutton? Oh, man, this is interesting. That's a fun one. That's a fun one. Let's do Harvey. Let's do Harvey. Just because I would rather take the running back here. I would rather take the running back, but with Kyron, that's more interesting. It would have been between Sutton or Harvey. Essentially was my decision, Sutton or Harvey. I fucked up my only Allen Cook team. I forgot I had it and took the other Buffalo running back in the 10th. I keep telling myself it's extra unique. I mean, it's not bad. If you took Ty Johnson, obviously, right? Then, like, again, it's leverage. Now you have leverage over the other Allen Cook teams with Ty Johnson. If he has a touchdown, then it's really not bad at all, actually. I don't think that's fucking up. It's really not bad. I think it's completely fine. I think it's fine. It might be a happy little mistake that wins you, 50 grand or whatever in the tournament you're in. So you might be thanking your lucky stars on that one. This is an interesting draft room. I'm going to have to take a look at some of these teams after the fact. This is as optimal as it kind of gets as far as Buffalo builds. Yeah, it is absolutely as optimal as it gets. There's really nothing else you could do. Like, no one else besides Devontae is going to be there realistically. Um, so yeah, and then you get Shakir. If he doesn't take Kincaid here, he's gonna get sniped on Kincaid. So take Sutton. He was never gonna get back to me. I wasn't even licking my chops there. But if you don't take Kincaid, I am going to. That was a mistake by you. You should have looked ahead. You really should have looked ahead. I'm going to take Kincaid here for sure. And then it's either Ramondre or Hunter Henry. And since I took Harvey, let's take. I feel like Henry's a better advanced piece. I can take a different. Like, there's no way Henry gets back to me. So I could take Ramondre, obviously, but or Woody instead of Henry. I kind of want to do Woody Marks here. And then I've got Kyron and Woody as my advance rate pieces. With again Devontae and Kincaid. That's pretty deadly. Harvey as the first round buy, hopefully, the way I'm drafting. Takes Goddard, that's good, but Swift should absolutely not have been your pick. You should have taken Kincaid. You should have looked ahead and seen that I have NFC and I'm looking for AFC pieces, and you should have drafted Kincaid. So that's a mistake by this guy because now you're giving up, the most optimal possible. I guess if it's Eagles, Buffalo, you're happy, but you're still losing out on a key Buffalo piece. I take Kincaid there. No questions asked. No questions asked. But you never know. You never know. We're definitely going to bring in another Ram, obviously. We're definitely going to bring in another Bronco for sure. If Henderson or Henry make it back to us, we will be doing that. Okay, he takes both. I didn't realize that was there, but that makes sense. I'm done at running back, I believe. I'm not taking a second quarterback, so we can get rid of that. I don't love Brian Thomas here. Mind you, he's going to fall behind Parker Washington as far as ADP is concerned in short order. He could take Franklin. If not, I'm going to be taking Franklin. This guy should not, for sure. Takes Henry. So we're going to do Franklin. And Franklin and Watson, I think, is the best way to go about that. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Franklin and Watson. Okay. And then we're going to take two more wide receivers, and I know who they're going to be, but we'll have to wait till we get there. Quality lineup, I think, to advance, and then some solid looking pieces. If it's a Rams, Broncos, Rams, Texans, Rams, Bills, even. I mean, I guess I could have taken Brian Thomas there instead, but I just think Watson's more of an advanced piece. Much more of an advanced piece than Thomas. Strange, maybe I should have pulled up, actually. Maybe Watson's a mistake on this one. Watson could be a mistake here. I'm not 100% on that. Charbonnet takes Cooks. Okay. I agree. Watson could nuke the slate. Yeah, that's kind of why I take him there. Is just again, it might be a mistake build wise, roster construction wise, but I've got a ton of playing players, except for Harvey and Franklin. So I may not need him. Or he could just be the guy you need, like you're saying. So it's kind of it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it's fine. It's defensible either way. It's defensible either way. So like when you have a build like this, when you go for a 4-piece with whatever team, any team, and then you have 2 bringbacks, right? 2 bringbacks, and then just a random, like, I guess I could have brought in Ty Johnson too, but that I don't think makes a ton of sense either. Like, he only helps me in the Super Bowl. And then for here, we're gonna go with Dalton Schultz over Higgins is what I'm doing, because I believe the Texans are playing either the Ravens or the Steelers, and I like the matchup for tight ends there. The other guy, low owned, less drafted, much less drafted than, say, Colby Parkinson, even sometimes Terrence Ferguson, though he's starting to come up the board a little bit. Tyler Higbee. So let's do that. And then we'll take a look at the board. I'm loving picking Tyler Higbee, especially in the gauntlet, where I think he'll end up being, I don't know, definitely sub 50%. I would think probably maybe 30%, maybe 20%, maybe even less drafted. So if the Rams are in the Super Bowl and Higbee is healthy, that's leverage, right, against the other Rams teams. So, and the Colby Parkinson drafters. So I do like taking Higbee kind of whenever I can with these Rams builds, because I do have some Parkinson too. So I can, again, volume. But yeah, I like this build. It's just, it's interesting. Like the Watson, I mean, it could be a structural mistake, I suppose, but it's not going to kill me either way. And then let's see the Buffalo drafter here. So he kind of screwed himself with not taking Kincaid here. I just think that's a pretty big mistake as far as the Buffalo nuts build would be, but he's got a good build with Eagles and Bills. Brings in Loveland and Barner at the end. I don't mind those picks at all. Similar to me at the end, 2 tight ends, NFC side, AFC side, stack AFC, 2 NFC tight ends. I don't mind the build, but I don't mind it at all. But I would have absolutely taken Kincaid over Swift there, no question. I like this. Where did he leave out Goddard? Ooh, that's a tough. You're just hoping to get Goddard back, but there's almost no way you do. There's almost no way that you get Goddard past this drafter, but you're not getting Sutton either, because I'm taking Sutton, right? So that's the decision for this drafter, is Sutton or Goddard. And when it's this build with the Eagles, personally, I probably take Goddard. Over Sutton. Because now what do you do? No one. So now you only have the 3-piece Eagles side, right? And no leverage against the full stack Eagles teams that are in the final. It's just a tough one. It's an interesting one. It's a tough decision. Yeah, Knicks doesn't make sense to draft at all. I would have taken Jaleel McLaughlin probably instead of Pat Bryant. Brings in Higgins. This kind of fell apart on this guy too. I feel like I would have gone Goddard over Sutton, and then probably Parker Washington here over Jennings. Henry's fine. Nick's not advisable, in my opinion. Pat Bryant would have been fine, I suppose, but I would have taken McLaughlin, and then Higgins would have been fine. That's a tough one. Jacksonville, Seattle. I like it. Brings in Burden. Don't mind this because he's obviously playing for the number one, the bye. And he's got one more. How many Seattle? 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah. I probably would not have done Zay Flowers here. I would have done something different personally. Yeah, I would have brought in an NFC. Jaden Reed or Moore is fine. Someone else other than Zay. I don't love that pick personally. San Francisco. Nice San Francisco stack without Jennings, I believe. Yep. Get some Chargers bring back. You need another quarterback with Purdy, so that's fine. I probably would have went with Herbert, especially when I have McConkey. I almost certainly do Herbert here. I guess you have Hampton as well, so maybe not. I would have went Hampton. Ravens side, but that's taking some risk. Not a bad build. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I don't bring in Love. I don't bring in Reed. Well, Reed's fine, but I don't bring in Love personally. I just bank on Drake May, bank on New England making the Super Bowl. You can't bring in a second quarterback, in my opinion. But I don't mind this build either. All right, let's get out of here. Unless you guys got some questions in the chat, we're going to get out of here. Hopefully things go the way we plan. I'm actually really rooting for the Seahawks tomorrow. I think the Ravens will get that win, and I'm kind of rooting for the Ravens as well. But other than that, we'll enjoy the weekend, enjoy the football this weekend. We'll be back, like I said, on Monday night to rip some drafts, go over everything, where people landed, teams landed, who's playing who, and then we can play these matchups in real time and draft very intentionally with those number one seeds. So we'll see you on Monday. Like we always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we're right. We win the Mitten 2. Have yourselves a great night, great weekend.